Hi everyone, welcome back to COYS and Kin. I'm Siddhu,
And I'm Anand.
and we're a father and son duo who live and breathe Tottenham Hotspur. Each week, we dive into all things Spurs in their 2025-2026 Champions League run. The matches, the players, the highs.
And the lows.
So whether you're here for analysis, banter, or just to share the Spurs passion, come
Come
on you Spurs.
Spurs.
All right, so today we're reviewing the match that just took place, September 30th, 2025, Tottenham Hotspur at Bodo Glimt,
Actually, it
ended
was
2-2.
September exactly. Sorry. You can stop, right? Okay.
We've been in transit. We actually both ended up going to Tottenham Hotspur. We were in London this weekend and we saw Spurs play Wolves at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Just to briefly talk about that, it ended 1-1. Very good first half, very poor second half. We're so glad that they managed to scrounge out that last minute goal with Paulinho. But it kind of felt similar today. I don't know how you felt watching this
Yeah, it
match.
felt very similar today, except it was reversed a little bit.
Yeah.
Very poor first half, and the second half, as soon as Bodo Glimt scored the goal, it seemed like Spurs woke up. The Spurs
Yeah.
woke up. And then they started playing football and real good football. But they gave the game away to Bodo Glimt for, I would say, 60 minutes
I
or even
mean, the end of the game percentage stat, even with that last 15, 30 minutes, 15 minutes kind of thing that happened, they still ended up with Bodo Glimt having 51%, 49%. I mean, that will happen in home matches, but I don't know. It was really tough to watch that first half, honestly.
Yeah, that's actually true. I mean, I really don't know what happened. I think we need to give some credit to Bodo Glimt because I think they pressed from the beginning of the game. And I, some reason, the Spurs seem to have gotten caught by surprise. So it's very likely, and just I'm thinking a bit beyond what I should, that Frank had trained them up to play a particular way, and that way did not involve Bodo Glimt actually pressing. So the moment Bodo Glimt started to become aggressive and started to press, these guys didn't know a way to kind of really get out of it and play proper football, right? Instead,
Hmm.
it almost was like slight panicky, and whenever they got the ball, they wanted to essentially try to find another player very quickly,
Yeah.
rather than keeping possession, controlling it, and then moving forward. I mean, if you remember last year, sometimes when the other teams pressed, both Romero and Van de Ven, they kept passing it to each other until the press kind of got more gentle or backed away, and then
Right.
they started moving forward. Today's game, they somehow got the ball, they got surprised by the press and wanted to get rid of the ball very quickly, and they ended up having really, really poor shot distribution and also really, really low quality passes.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like none of our players, even I think Bentancur and Sarr were supposed to, I guess, be the two double pivot sort of players that were supposed to take the ball, push it forward. I'm looking at these stats right now. It seems like Bentancur somehow ended up with one of the higher stats of our team, and I think that's only because so many of the other players kind of disappeared during the match. At least Bentancur was there. He scored that. Did he score the goal that was offside eventually? The first one, the
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the foul on Van der Ven rather.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in some ways it was more similar to the Bournemouth game than the Wolves second half because I think that that basically there's two methods right now. It's either you have this play that's more fluid, you pass through the lines, you move it forward, or everything goes through Kudus. So against Wolves, Kudus was absolutely owning the right side. He was owning the build-up play. They got him the ball. He was able to figure it out. And against Brighton, the same thing happened where the first half of that Brighton game, Kudus and Kadioglu, I think, was the back on him. There was more of a battle. Kadioglu slowed down, and all of a sudden Kudus was able to kind of assert himself in that match. So against Wolves, what happened was they were putting everything through Kudus through the first half, and then Wolves went to a back five, so the two of them, two Wolves players were able to lock him down, the wing back and whoever the left center back was, right? So they locked him down. Today, they didn't have Kudus, and so then they pressed everyone man on man. And when they did that, all of these players just froze, as you said. Yeah, they had no idea how to
Yeah, I
figure it
think
out.
that's a very good observation. I mean, comparing the game today, the Champions League game today, with the game we had against Brighton, I'm sorry, Bournemouth, and the game we had against the Wolves, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, so in the case of, I also get the feeling that because last year we were shipping out so many goals, a big part of what Frank seems to be doing is to make sure that nobody's scoring goals against us,
Yeah,
right? So it's like a defense first approach. So when
right.
people are pressing, I think the players at the in the back four or six or whatever,
Mhm.
uh, uh, they are intent on making sure that the nobody gets through them. So
Yeah,
it means kicking the ball away and trying to find that odd player that's seems to be free. That was what they did. But in the case of Wolves, I thought Spurs really dominated the first half. They should have scored two goals or three.
yeah,
Oh, they didn't score the goals. I mean, Kudus had one amazing goal saved by the keeper. He had got another that hit the upright. But today's game, they somehow were like they were stuck with like the Bournemouth like pressing, and they panicked and they didn't know what to do. So
yeah.
I think it was a really not a very good game overall. Um, the I mean, of course, they also had chances today. They could have scored more, but somehow that didn't seem to work.
No, I mean at least the one benefit, I mean not benefit, the one good thing about this match is that each time Bodo Glimt scored, they immediately they scored right on the dot immediately. It was like the turnaround, right? And obviously the first goal that they scored after they got scored against was offside, but it seemed like, as you said, like they suddenly, I think they turned on.
This game showed how important it is for the defensive players to be the same every game. I'll tell you
Mhm.
why. Because there is an understanding between Porro and Romero. Okay, so if
Yeah,
Porro moves to his right towards the end, the back line to prevent forward running around him, then Romero moves to the space he left to cover that space.
yeah,
Right. Today there was no
yeah,
communication
absolutely.
between Porro and Danso.
And
Right.
that's why both those amazing goals came out of this one guy,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Especially the first one. You look at the first one, Poro moves to prevent him from going around, and
Right.
then the guy moves out, and Danso he hadn't moved back into the space. So
And this
I
guy, Jens Peter Haig, or however you say his name, he played at AC Milan and Eintracht Frankfurt. It's not like he's some spring chicken, Norwegian guy, right? He's actually played at at top level football for most of his career.
right, right.
So,
So I
and
mean,
he
both
they
strikes were
yeah,
really good strikes,
right.
but the only way to defend those strikes is to actually have a defensive person, in front of him,
Yeah.
at a minimum, putting their body in front of him.
No, I think this is where there are two sides. One is they clearly took Bodo Glimt for granted. They said we beat them twice last season, so we can kind of go to Bodo Glimt and do the same thing again. Although even last season, Berg, who was I think their central attacking midfielder, he was actually injured for both matches last season. So, he was able to kind of take control of the midfield and spread the ball as much as he wanted, which left, people exposed. The other side is if Danso is not going to do that job because they're being more low, mid block, low block, he's not going to run out to provide the space. I don't know whose job it was as midfielders to go with Poro. If it was Bentancur's job to go on the right and Sar's job to go on the left, or Sar's job to go on the right or left, because sometimes one of those
No, no, no.
midfielders.
I don't think it's see, generally what happens on either side, like Brennan Johnson would have come with
Yeah,
his.
right, right.
So if you could do a man-to-man, it was Brennan Johnson's person.
Hmm.
However, I think the two fullbacks, I mean the center backs need to be helping the fullbacks out. So this is
Yeah.
where I think Danso somehow didn't move to the right space.
No, that is true, right?
So that's one thing. Okay, just to change the topic a little bit, um, I actually thought Van der Ven was the best player
Hmm.
because there was several times that he had to come back and help break up the movement of Bodo Glimt,
Right.
especially when they were in the box. And of course, he scored a goal.
And
So,
with his head. This is the first. Frank even said, "Oh, we like Van der Ven scoring goals, but next time it has to be with his head." So he did that. So
yeah. So I thought he did pretty well. And the
yeah.
other thing is, he had passion because the first goal that was disallowed.
Hmm.
I mean, that was a rinky-dink call,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's kind of, I mean, the guy hardly pulled him down by the shirt.
No, but
He
that's what you do in the
I
box. You get the pull and you go, ah, you fall backwards like that.
know, but in Premier League, it happens, and unless it's very clear the guy was prevented and so on, they would never have given a penalty. So it was a little bit of a rinky-dink, and he got
Yeah,
really
sure.
mad about it. And of course, soon after that, he got a yellow card because I think he was still mad and
Oh,
went
he
for.
was you could as soon as I saw the ball leave, I was at you could see the distance between the two of the attacker and him, and I thought before he even went into the tackle, I knew he was getting a yellow card.
Oh, yeah, because he was really hopping mad.
Yeah.
The now that was I thought he was the best player. I really feel bad for Frank, because I think that Odebear was really bad. I mean, he didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Richarlison really didn't do very much. He was running up and down, really didn't do very much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if
So,
that's fully Richarlison's fault because
well, I don't know, in terms of the
he
left
got too much
wing.
service from anyone.
No, but the thing is, a good such striker also tries to create a little bit of his own. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, right. Harry Kane would have come all the way back to the front, probably maybe brought a center back with him, which maybe opened up space and passed it forward, sort of thing.
no, no, you don't have to do that like Harry Kane, but at a minimum, then you start roaming around in the midfield
Hmm.
and not simply run at the goalkeeper, run at. He wasn't even running at any of the defenders, by the way.
Yeah,
He
he
was
actually
not pressing.
wasn't right. But again, I
Uh, you
think
know,
that sorry, I want to go back. My theory of this match is that these players don't want to get injured on artificial turf, and because of that, they all held back much more than they needed to, and that's why you could say they turned it on after every time they got scored against. They turned it on, and they were able to actually
uh,
overpower Bodo Glimt each time.
exactly, but just think about it, right? Odebear needs to prove to Frank that he is going to completely solidify the left wing. And he didn't, he played pretty badly.
Yeah, I mean
I really think
Odebear
that,
in the
uh, you
Champions
know,
League. Who's the competition for Odebear?
isn't Tell in the squad?
No, Tell's not in the Champions League squad,
Not
right?
in the Champions League squad,
Okay.
right? Okay, so that's the other problem. I mean, I think, one option going forward is, depending on when Solanke gets better, is to have Richarlison on the left wing.
Yeah, right.
Let Solanke play center. Is what's his guy? Uh, Kolo Muani.
Kolumwani
Uh,
can play left and center. He's
but
more
is he in
center
the
than
Champions
left.
League squad?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. The other thing is, of course, when Polinia came in, again, it was so much better, you know.
Yeah,
I'm wondering about Bentancur
yeah.
because uh, I mean he did score on a disallowed goal, but nevertheless,
I
uh,
think the thing with Bentoncourt right now is that they're negotiating the next his next deal right now. So maybe there's almost a internal thing that they've said you have to play him as much as possible because he needs to know that he's wanted around here. Because truthfully, Bentoncourt is a squad player now. He is not as good as Polinia as the six. He's not as good as
ah,
Bergvall or Sar as an eight. And actually,
yeah,
I think when Archie Gray, I know you had to kind of miss the last little bit of the match, but when Archie Gray came on, immediately it was like, wow, we have an attacking midfielder because Archie Gray completely set up the last goal. And he had the assist to Lancashire, I want to say, against Galatasaray, right? He had the
last year,
perfect
last
ball over the top from the sixth position,
that's the
but
last
for
year.
last year, yeah, last year. But he has this vision from any point, and he has the running ability that I think Bergvall has the silkiness, but I
Yeah,
actually think Gray is kind of a Kulusevski player where he
yeah, yeah.
has
He,
the
he is
innate
strong
ability
and
to do
he
that.
also can play lots of different
Yeah.
positions actually.
He's like Nacho at Real Madrid. That's what I think his future is going to be at Spurs. Is he can play every position basically as a fill-in, but he's actually
Right.
quite good at every position.
I was pretty disappointed. Because leading up to this game, I looked at the replays from last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we won the first game 3-1 in
Yeah.
Spurs Stadium, and we won the second one 2-0. So
No, but
far,
the first game, even I remember that first Bodo because the first game was at Bodo Glimt. It
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
a
3-1
tough
at Brooklyn.
match.
Yeah.
It was like a corner kick that Solanke like just managed to like kind of kick through, and
Oh
then
no, but that is not the point. No, the point in football is that we won 5-1.
no, I
And
don't think that's the point of football. I think it's that the I think the momentum of the game was completely against Spurs even in that first game until they scored. Because the highlights, especially if you watch this the goal shots on goal and the Spurs highlights, I remember that game. I remember thinking, wow, Bodo Glimt if they were
no, they
a
played
bit
well
better,
and all
they
that
played
kind of
well.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a contrast to the game. I guess perhaps they felt there was more at stake, so it was on the semifinals of the
Yeah, that's true
World
too.
Cup and
Right.
all that. But
But
the
also this guy Berg, I think, was injured last match, which was he's like their star player.
the contrast with today's game, I mean, it was pretty disappointing game. I expected them to
It
win by
was bad.
16 or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, any other words? I mean, we have spoken. I thought even Saar did not play that well. Bergwall, well, it's very difficult to assess him because he's always on the ball, so to speak.
Yeah, right.
That he's always engaged, he's always involved, and he's on a regular basis. There's the potential that he can score this amazing goal. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing to say is that I think a lot of fans are starting to turn on Vicario,
yeah,
and I'm not going to say it's his like that second goal, right?
right.
Was more the first goal hard to stop.
Yeah.
Second goal, he kind of lobs, kicks it, it lands in a space where everyone freezes. Spence, I think, should have run for the ball because he turned off too, and then they pass it out to the left, they kick the goal. But people are saying, maybe if Kinski was in, Kinski has this promise of a beautiful distribution, which I think we only really saw in the Carabao Cup against Liverpool for that one match. But regardless,
No, but more
matches
than
like
that, I mean,
this,
I've seen Kinski
yeah,
actually save a lot of goals.
yeah. Now at this point, he has right,
Yeah, it's funny that you bring it up because I wanted to speak about this and I forgot.
yeah,
And I'm also one of those people who's thinking, what's happening with Vicario? By the way, what's happening with Spence? Ever since he got into the English squad, he's, I mean, beginning of the season, he was probably the best player, and
yeah,
now
yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. He's almost like
No, it's a shame. There was a couple moments today where he had really amazing runs forward, right? And then Odebear was in the right position, Richarlison was in the right position, Xavi was in at that point, Xavi wasn't in at the right position. So then he lost the ball and like kind of slipped or fell or like he tried to do too much and it was done. So I
yeah.
don't know. I do feel like today he kind of had a tough hand, I think, to be
And the
honest.
other thing is, I also thought Xavi played pretty badly. I don't know what happened to him. Again, the first game he played, he was amazing, and he's deteriorated a little bit. He was not very good at Wolves,
Yeah,
and today he was almost like he didn't want to take charge. We want somebody who's an attacking midfielder to take charge,
right.
and somehow he just didn't do it. So. Um, I hope that all these guys really buck up, as we say, and start behaving and much more aggressively against Leeds. I know it's not a Champions League game, but they really have to win a game. Now it's like three draws in a row,
Yeah,
right?
three draws where I mean they've well not well, yeah they beat Doncaster in the middle of those, but they
Yeah,
yeah I mean we'll see. Leeds aren't necessarily a team to scoff at this season. I think all the promoted teams are
no, no,
doing
but they
decently
have to
well,
win
and
the game. They
they have
have
to
to.
win. No, for sure.
And I hope Frank unleashes them rather than tell them, the most important thing is don't ship goals. So he
Yeah.
should teach them a little bit. Anyway, so in spite of all the stuff that we are concerned about, Tottenham is, I think, in the top four in
Well, they have games tomorrow, but you know that this is the
the,
second. Wait, wait. This is the second best start to a Champions League run Tottenham has ever had.
there you go. So,
Crazy.
so we are up there in the Champions League. We are up there in the Premier League.
Right.
And let's just hope that we stay up there so that we
Right.
can get into the knockout rounds of the Champions League.
Yeah, I think we'll get into knockout rounds. It's just a matter of will we get in the top eight so we don't have to play those extra matches, or will we end up in the 9 through 16? That's okay. Maybe I shouldn't say then jinx
Oh
it.
no, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So all right. So any last words?
No, I think that's it for me. The next match is Saturday against Leeds. I hope. Yeah, as you said, they better thrash Leeds.
Yeah, and then we'll be back with this podcast the next time Tottenham Hotspur play in the Champions League.
It'll be
Until then,
October 22nd against at Monaco. A little bit of a break.
yeah, so that would be a tough game. Monaco in the past has been a very good team.
They have Eric Dyer now.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so let's hope that we continue to not lose games, but also hopefully win a whole bunch of them in the weeks and to come.
Yeah.
See you.
See you next time.